Number one for all the hits. 95.9 KISS FM.
Welcome to the second edition of Local Music Monday. Sitting here with Undecent in your natural habitat.
The studio.
The
Absolutely.
home studio. You've got your computers where you mix everything together. You've got your recording booth back there where you lay down the vocals.
Yes, sir.
I've known Undecent for a while. I've seen him in a couple of shows, and it is unreal because if you know this guy, then you know that he's very quiet off the stage. But once he gets on the stage, slays.
Yeah.
You took a little time off, and you're back in the game.
I am.
This time it's a little different.
Yeah, it's more of a streamlined approach this time. Took about 4 years off, started raising a son, bought a house, did the life thing. Now I'm absolutely 100% back into it, and I am in it to win it for good, I promise you.
That shows. It really does, because in the short time that I have known you, you've been out there grinding. You've been at various shows around the Fox Valley. I know you're putting together a small tour for yourself.
Nice.
You're trying to expand throughout the Midwest.
Right.
You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, currently we're just plugging away, but this upcoming summer I'm shooting for more of a regional approach. Duluth, Minnesota is already on board. A couple shows in Iowa, Illinois, some in Wisconsin, more western Wisconsin, central Wisconsin. We'll have a couple Appleton shows too.
If you know this guy, very humble off the stage. Once he hits it, he's a completely different person. It took me by surprise. I mean, I knew you for a couple years before I saw you on stage, and I was like, wait a second, what? That's that same dude right there, but it's for the better. Yeah, I mean, it is fantastic. You can tell that when you get up there, it's just something takes over.
Right.
It's the emotion, it's the music.
It's like a switch. It just and it goes, you know.
And speaking of that emotion, where do you gather that from? Like, what is the inspiration behind the emotion? Maybe even different from where you started to where you are now.
Oh, I mean, I gather inspiration from my music, everywhere. My life, other people's lives, stuff you see on TV. I get an idea for a song just like that, you know. It just comes, it's all based off of life. What I'm going through, what I see somebody else going through. If I can touch on that, make sense of it, or write a song about it, kind of my thought process about the whole thing, I mean, that's really where I gather it from.
I think a lot of musicians, they gather from life and experiences, and it really helps get all of that out.
Right. No, you're right. Absolutely. It's like, I'm almost like a sponge, you know. I can take other people's emotions and kind of put myself in their position. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough to hopefully write good songs about other people's experiences and my own. But I like touching bases on everything, you know what I mean?
I think it's good. If I didn't, you wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
So,
hey, this is my house.
Well, okay, that's right. I wouldn't be here right now. Now, because I do know you kind of jumped forward, we want to talk about maybe where you're from a little bit.
I'm born and raised Menasha, Appleton area. I mean, my roots are fully settled here. You know, this is where I came up, and this is where I represent, and I want to put this on the map.
A lot of us are trying to put Northeast Wisconsin on the map, specifically in the hip-hop scene, and that's what we're trying to do right now. That's what this project, this blog, all this stuff is all about. Now, we've kind of covered the base questions, you know, where you're from, background, inspiration. Now, I know you spend a lot of time in here by yourself, like even down to writing some of the tracks.
An unhealthy amount of time.
An unhealthy amount of time. But you know that's what it takes to make it.
Right, absolutely.
Do you want to go through that process? I mean, does it start with music? Does it start with lyrics?
A little bit of both. You know, not every song is the same. Sometimes I'll hear a beat, and then I'll be like, ooh. You know, and then I'll kind of come up with a chorus and be like, okay. And then, like, figure out with the song, what direction I can go with the song. Or sometimes I'll have something on my mind that I want to write about. And then I go fishing for beats and try to kind of line up the lyrics of the song with the beat, you know. And that's actually more challenging. I think it's easier as an artist to hear a instrumental and then go off of that. But at the same time, if you have something you want to write about, like I also do it that way as well.
Yeah, sometimes the lyrics have to match the music in your head, and that is the toughest part. Trust me on that. I went to school for it, and it's still tough. All right, so we've sat here, we've got to know you, you know, your background, what you're currently working on, but we didn't quite get to the featured track that, you know, we're putting down below on the link.
Right.
So Cold.
So Cold.
Tell us about that, the process, the meaning, just everything. Go.
So Cold. It's more of a mainstream record. I found an awesome female to sing the chorus on it, and it's more of an emotional, darker type song. It's more about the grind behind the scene when you're trying to make it in the music industry, as opposed to what people might see when you're on stage, you're on YouTube, looking all happy. You know what I mean? It's not always necessarily a happy time. So this kind of takes you through the process of the grind when it's not always great, and it's a struggle. You got to keep pushing.
You're mentioning the first G before the other two come along. Grind before the glitz and glamour.
Right. Absolutely. And it is a grind for sure, but it's all worth it, man. I love doing it and I enjoy it.
Your style can be pretty aggressive sometimes, and
Sure.
not in a bad way. I mean, just like, I'm here.
Right.
Listen to what I've got to say.
Right.
So I want to
You're right.
know, where are these influences coming from? Like the style, the lyrical writing, all that.
Yeah, I mean it's a hodgepodge of pretty much everything you can think of. I really like Atmosphere. I like Slug and Ant. Like, they do awesome things, and they write a lot of emotional tracks, especially the earlier stuff. But like Yellow Wolf, I get a lot of inspiration from Yellow Wolf. I like Royce the 5'9", and it's kind of funny actually. One of probably the most aggressive rappers ever. DMX, you could probably say he was pretty aggressive. That was my first icon to look up to in hip hop. I mean, and then there was X and It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I mean, I was all about it when I was in middle school. So, I mean, it's so much broader than those guys, but those guys really picked me up when I first started out. But, I also grew up on classic rock, so I got a lot of classic rock influence just musically, that really made me like music. So
I can definitely pick up the classic rock influence in a lot of the tracks that you select.
Yep.
There's a lot of piano work in several of them.
I love pianos.
Yep.
I love rapping to pianos. It's one of my favorite instruments. It really is.
One last thing, or maybe not, but is there anything that you would like everyone to know? Is there a certain message that you want to leave everyone with?
Just keep following your dreams. I mean, you got to keep grinding and keep with it. I mean, I'm still here. I took 4 years off and hit it right running with it again, It's possible. No matter what people tell you, just stick with it, and anything is possible. Just keep following your dreams and keep at it.
As long as you got the passion and the drive, it never dies.
It's true.
The newest track, So Cold, all of his social media, where you can find his music, tour dates,
Yep.
all that is going to be featured down below.
Awesome.
So check it out. Undecent. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Peace.